All right. So, you guys feeling good?
I don't know. Sure.
I'm ready.
All right.
I assume I know all the answers.
I'm rolling audio. So
Go ahead.
I'm rolling.
See what you got.
All right.
All right. Welcome to my dad's movie podcast. I'm Mick Johnson. I'm the dad. And with me, as usual, is my son, Tabor Johnson.
Hi, guys. Good to be back.
Yeah, and tonight, the man of the hour, we're going to be talking with Kody Newton from Newton to Newton Productions. He is a film writer, director, movie maker, pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah, in independent film, you have to be everything.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Perfect.
So yeah, we're going to talk to Kody tonight.
He's
And
located out of Boise. I don't know if you mentioned that.
yeah, he's local. He's Boise.
He hails
Yeah.
from Kuna, Idaho.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a fun podcast. This is going to
Let's.
be.
Yeah. No, it'll be great. My dad was saying how he was enjoying talking about all these filmmakers that we've been looking into, and he thought it would be a great idea to also showcase up and coming talent as well, because we have all these other directors that are out there and they're already established, but there's so much talent out in the world that hasn't been seen by everybody yet. And so he wanted to help, use this podcast to kind of help pull out other...
Talk about some local people, stuff like that.
Well, not even local, because we got another guy that we're talking to from, Hawaii.
Right. I'm talking to a guy in Hawaii. I'm talking to a guy in Provo. And so, yeah, it's just, not local, but when I'm talking local, I'm just talking about not Hollywood.
Independent.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah. And, looking at we had Kody on one of the other podcasts. Who did we talk about?
Baz Luhrmann.
Just
that's
the best
right.
director ever. He's
That's right.
not gay.
He's
Oh, spoiler alert.
He's
Yeah.
not.
Sorry.
That's
For
right.
those who haven't listened to that episode yet.
I can't guarantee that, but that's what I read. Anyways, so Kody was on one of the other podcasts, talked about, Baz Luhrmann and Moulin Rouge and Elvis, and it was awesome. But I've also Kody does a lot of independent stuff, short films. I think you have a feature film that you have put together now. And he works on a lot of other films, big films, and I think what's the one that just came out?
So there's one that's just about to come out called The Death of Snow White.
That's the one. Yeah,
That's the big one.
yeah. And you were the cinematographer
And
is that
producer
right?
on it.
Okay, right on. So watching some of your short films and watching some of the other stuff that you do, and I've been to what's the festival that you put on?
I put on one called the Idaho Film Family Festival.
Okay. And I think I've been to that twice, I believe. And
Those are fun.
yeah, and I thought, this is really cool that you're bringing all these people in, local people, stuff, people that are kind of up and coming, and you're giving them some place where they can kind of show their talent and get going on things. And I thought, we need to do a podcast on Kody, because I think you are up and coming, but I kind of feel like maybe you're even a little past the up and coming portion of it. Watching some of the stuff that you've done, I kind of feel like, I think you're getting ready to make some really big stuff. So,
Well, I feel like I am. I mean, you always feel like it's bigger than, it actually is. But yeah, we're getting bigger budgets, but we're getting things done, and we're finally getting them out to the world. And I think that's always the hardest part with films.
You're also making a whole
Right.
bunch of new contacts. Like, every time you make a movie, you come back with 5 or 6 new people that can help build the scene even more, because of what you have accomplished.
This is root beer, by the way, just in
yeah.
case anybody's wondering.
Well, let me open my beer.
Yeah, this one's
Thank you. I appreciate that.
sponsored by Coke Zero.
Yeah. So
Good stuff.
give us a little bit of. Let's start out with some background. A little bit. How did you get first? Kody Newton. What's your middle name?
Oh, my middle name is Tyler, and it's Kody with a K for those people
Kody with a
listening
K.
on Spotify.
That's right. And born and raised. Where
So
have
I was
you?
born and raised in Rock Springs, Wyoming. So if you didn't know anything about Rock Springs, Wyoming, it is a mining town in the middle of nowhere, and it's freezing all the time. And we grew up in a time when you had to entertain yourselves. We couldn't just... I mean, we went to Aladdin's castle to play video games, but we ran out of quarters. So we used to do other things, and anytime I got my hands on a video camera, I would just create. It didn't matter what it was. It'd be skits. It would be stuff for, I used to be like seminary president, so we'd make like special announcements for seminary and things like that. And
right on. So even at a young age, you were working on...
anytime, we never had a video camera. We were dirt poor, so I had to borrow it from friends or whoever had one.
Sure. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I spent 19 years in Wyoming, of all places, and, you know, I loved my childhood. I thought it was great. But, man, once you leave, it's like, man, that place sucks. and it's kind of funny because I hate driving through there still. I mean, Wyoming's kind of the worst.
Didn't we stop there for one of...
Well, we popped a tire in Evanston, Wyoming.
Yeah.
On the way down to Oklahoma.
That's the best place to blow a tire.
Yeah. Especially getting a taxi somehow. I mean, we looked up Uber, and I was like, hey, we can have someone drive up from Salt Lake to pick us up. But when I was 19, I went on an LDS mission, and that is where everything changed for me.
Okay.
Because my nephew, who's my age, you know, we're one of those classic Mormon families. We had 9 kids in our family, and I was 8th, and my nephew is a year and a half younger than me, so he's my best friend. But for graduation or for mission, he sent me a video camera while I was on my mission.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So whenever we'd have preparation day or our day off, we would just go to a castle. I went to Spain, by the way. I went to Madrid.
Okay.
But we would go to a castle and like film a movie there. And we just would edit in the camera, so we didn't get to keep our bloopers or anything like that. But man, it was so much fun, and even without music afterwards, it was so much fun to watch with everyone who participated, and it almost became, you know, and I'm going to say this word, I think, a lot, just because this is where I'm at in my life, but it became almost a spiritual experience where you had a collective, like, love for one another, and you had this, like, little art baby that you had together, and I probably made, I don't know, 20 little short, dumb films on my mission.
This is on Wikipedia.
Oh, yeah, all the Wikipedias.
Right.
The Kody Newton Wikipedia
Where do I go to
page?
find something about Kody Newton? It said made a series of 6 short films called The Adventures of Ninja Cowboy. So I'm assuming that was later than... Yeah.
So that was with my nephew. I went to the University of Wyoming with my nephew, and we were getting our communications degrees. And in our family, every 2 years we have a family reunion. Okay. And one of the kids is supposed to plan that family reunion, and it was my year, when I was in college of all things, to plan the family reunion. So my whole thing was I wanted each family, each one of the 9 kids, to create a movie for a family film festival that we were going to have.
Okay.
And so we just sat down, we thought of a movie we were going to make, and so we decided to make The Adventures of Ninja Cowboy, which was a 4-part series about a ninja and a cowboy running around Laramie, Wyoming, of all places.
Nice.
But it was a blast, and I'll just give you the premise of the movie in the series. They're about 20 minutes long each, so they're kind of grueling. But the first one is Ninja and Cowboy meet when they both try and like thwart a robber who's robbing a Sherry's of all places, because we used to work at Sherry's.
Yeah.
And then
I remember the big Sherry's robberies going on.
Yeah,
so.
all those happened all the time in the 2000s. But they, you know, Cowboy got in Ninja's way from saving the day, and so he chases him, and they have a fight. The second one, there's a evil doctor who is jinxing the Wyoming Cowboys football team, because that's kind of the classic thing, because they really sucked, and so you know, and it revealed he was from BYU, and so they teamed up to have to fight Dr. Donald and Mr. Slice. Turns out he turned into 2 people. Anyway. And then the third one, and this is where it really gets good.
This is where it gets good.
His wife,
the other 2 sound pretty good.
Yeah, his wife comes in after we have thwarted both of the doctors, because he splits into 2. But the third one, she comes in and turns Ninja and Cowboy into women. And so our wives played Ninja and Cowboy in this episode, and it was a blast. I mean, I don't know if she ever thought that she signed up to make movies when she married me.
Right.
But that's my favorite one by far. And so, and it kind of goes on and on. We showed those 4, and we loved them. They're so stupid. But you know, it's almost like a time machine of going back and watching who we were and the antics and things like that.
But it was a family thing.
It was 100% a family thing.
Yeah.
And that's where my production company name comes from is Newton to Newton Productions. Because essentially we're making stuff for ourselves.
Right.
For what we pass to our kids. And it's kind of a Stockton to Malone type of thing also when we're playing basketball.
I think that's one of the things that I really liked the last time we talked, hearing about how much you really involve your family in your movie making. I was kind of curious after we talked, what's it like to direct your kids or direct your wife or try to get things done? Or, I mean, maybe you have visions of what you want. Is, getting the family to do what you want, is it always easy? Is it, what's it?
Well, with my kids, it's easier just because I can get them on the same page as me. I essentially know what their strengths and weaknesses much better. Now, directing my wife, there was no way I was ever going to get what I needed from her. But what she gave me was so much different than what I originally, thought.
And it worked.
It became better that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, if you take, actors like that and you have it in your head, it's supposed to be a certain way, it's kind of the wrong way to do it. But if you let them take the character somewhere, it's going to make it better, then, that's where you find the magic in making films.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think maybe you can have an idea of where you want to get to. Maybe there's a couple different paths to get to that, as long as you get to that.
Yep.
Awesome. So what else? After college, what do we got going on?
After college, well, it was right in the middle of the recession. So we made 6 of these Ninja Cowboy movies, and I just loved doing them. The 5th one actually was the 30-minute long epic where we added a pirate, which, was pretty great.
What's the name of that one?
It's called Ninja Cowboy and Pirate.
I don't have that on my...
Stuff.
Hold on. I do not have that on my list.
Oh, no. Well, so this one, we actually talked to the communications department at the University of Wyoming, and we actually got clearance to do upper level credits because they don't have a film school. And so we made this and got 12 credits.
Oh,
Wow.
no
For
kidding.
making it, which was so much fun.
That's really cool.
That's why we took it a little more seriously, and man, it's a fun, stupid movie. Like if I did it right now, it honestly it would go viral just because of the stupid nature of it.
Yeah.
What is that? Cult classics?
Cult classic.
You always get a movie that comes out and it's like, it kind of bombs and it doesn't really go anywhere. And then all of a sudden, it's got this cult following and it's huge.
Yeah. That makes me think of this question. My very first short film that was completed, I mean, I started a couple things that never went anywhere. But the first thing that I completed was a short film called Bump. And it's one of my favorites. I love how silly and goofy it is. And I have a lot of people who approach me and ask me if I'm ever going to make a sequel to Bump. I don't know if I will, because I think the charm of that movie is shown through my inexperience. And it was the first thing I ever made. And I think because it was the first thing I ever made, that's what made it so fun. And I think with the experience that I've accumulated, I don't think I could capture lightning in a bottle twice. Is that something you agree with? Like if you were to remake Ninja Cowboy Pirate, do you think that with all the knowledge you have that you would make it infinitely better? Or do you think it would lose some of its charm because the charm was in the equipment that you had and the inexperience?
And
Maybe
the
go at it in a different way, direct it in a different way because of his experience now type of thing?
Yeah, I think if I reshot Bump, I think that
It'd be too good.
I would suck some of the fun out of it because I think that it was a bad movie. Is what made it fun.
What I think about that is it's never going to be the exact same, right? And you can make a movie shot for shot and completely miss, like Psycho. When they did that.
The Vince
it was
Vaughn
just
Psycho.
like, why are we even here? I'll just go watch the old one.
Right.
But this one in particular, it has those story beats and the silliness and the jokes that I think some of the technical took away from it.
Really?
I shot it on a Sony Handycam. I was on rollerblades running through like junkyards and things like that, trying to get Steadicam shots and whatever. But if you put some of that together in a little bit more polished area with some of the cool costumes that we had, I think it's almost like you get the dichotomy of the both. Like, this is really well produced, but it's just so stupid and funny that I think I think works in its own way.
That it would still retain some of that that charm.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's one of the jokes, right? Ninja and Cowboy are running across a bridge, and they run into a group of gangsters called the Suits. And then as they run, each one is highlighted with the title name, and they're all in different like costumes. So you have like leisure suit, he jumps up, and then you have swimsuit, and he's in a swimsuit, and then you have zoot suit, and then you have business suit, and then you have what were the other ones? Wetsuit was in there, and he fights with like snorkels and stuff like that. But right, and they run around the corner, and then they run into a guy who's naked in a birthday suit.
Birthday suit,
yeah,
nice.
and it's just like okay, some of that stuff is just so stupid. It that would work.
That it,
Right.
even with the updated technology and the new experience, that it would still.
It'd be even more stupid if you're doing it for real and it looked like a real movie.
That's cool.
Is that seriously on your slate, or is that just kind of like a, maybe one day,
It would be an interesting case study. I don't know if I can put the effort into it just because I have so many stories to tell, and I'm running behind. I don't know how much longer I'll be alive. First of all, I mean, I watched that Jim Henson documentary, and he died at 52, 56.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he put a lot into the world, but he had so much more to do. And it honestly has been weighing on me a little bit, just going, my body is not working like it used to. I mean, how many people are having heart attacks right now? It's just been really, really rough. So do I have 10 years to make films? What am I going to focus on?
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna go hard on just finding the stories that I want to tell with my kids while they're this age, and then really go hard on telling the things like, the love story that I've always wanted to tell, that,
Your Baz Luhrmann.
my musical.
Right on. How old are you?
Oh, I am 43, but
Oh
you
my
never share your
gosh.
age in showbiz.
You're just a baby.
Well,
Be quiet.
if I'm 10 years away from life, I'm not a baby. That's the thing. If I died same as Jim Henson, gosh dang. Yeah.
I've always liked the Muppets, but I watched that documentary on Jim Henson, and I just got a much deeper appreciation for that man. And I think that, he was incredible. He did such a good job.
Well, my favorite thing, these documentaries are amazing. I mean, they are such go watch the Val documentary, the Val Kilmer one,
Val Kilmer.
especially because he just passed away.
Yeah.
It's so great to have just that insight of what it actually takes to be able to be these people. And with the Jim Henson one, the one that really struck me, the part, was when he was talking about his kids, and his kids got to come work with him, and they got to learn the Jim Henson on set, right?
Yeah.
The Jim Henson, the creator, instead of just
Not just the dad.
yeah,
Right.
And how eye opening that was, and how awesome he was. It was, and they carried on his legacy, and that to me was that's exactly in line with my values and what I would what I like to do with my kids.
Well, you get somebody, like Jim Henson. He loved what he was doing, and he had a strong purpose and believed in it. And when you get people like that who love what they're doing and they have a purpose and they're moving forward with it, they do great things, right? So
They really do, and it's really very inspiring when it's someone of good character like that. Fred Rogers, Steve Irwin. To me, those are kind of all on the same level where they make the world a better place.
The
And
wholesome
I think in
Mount
general,
Rushmore.
if I have 10 years, I want to make the world a better place.
yeah, you got more than 10 years though.
We'll see.
I got a feeling.
I can barely move my neck.
That's,
Well, maybe you got
that doesn't mean you're dying. That
maybe you
just
got
means
10 years of stiff neck then. But
Well,
you just need a ring dinger.
talk a little bit about the Idaho film family, how you got that started and why you got that started. And then I was also kind of curious about the charity work. I had read that you had made some money for
perfect.
a charity.
Yeah, we can go into that. So this is essentially my origin story, where I just did this for fun, and it was great. But when I got out of college, it was right in the middle of a recession, and I could not find a job. A lot of people know this, but there's some questions going to be asked. But I got into trouble with the law, so I was actually a felon.
Wait a minute, who did we just talk about? Who got in trouble with the law?
John McTiernan.
John McTiernan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it happens to the best of
Right
us
on.
art people. And I mean, that wasn't a great time in my life, but It didn't impact me that much. It just, I had a felony on my record.
Sure.
So I got out of school with my master's in business administration thinking, man, I'm going to go make some money, but I couldn't even get a job anywhere. I mean, I would go in and I would have to tell them, hey, I'm a felon. And
that put the kibosh right there.
they would almost like escort me out.
Yeah.
And have to like watch me leave.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, oh my gosh. So long story short, I had to start my own business. I couldn't just sit back and just let my wife work. She was a receptionist at a eyeglass place in Nampa. And I started to just buy stuff on Craigslist and then sell it on eBay. So I would buy like packages of PS3s and Xboxes or whatever I could find. And luckily enough, this is kind of crazy, but on Christmas Eve in 2011, we got into a car accident. And someone
luckily enough.
Yeah, somebody ran a stop sign like almost at midnight on Christmas Eve. It was barely snowing, and we T-boned them. So it wasn't our fault. Our kids were in the car. I mean, it was one of the scariest times of my life. But the Honda Odyssey saved our life. And we were okay. And we got money for another Honda Odyssey to go buy. But I bought one for cheap and had $3,000 extra
Sure.
from that accident. And so I really put that into this Craigslist business. And one of the first things I bought was like an amp for a home theater. And I made $1,000 in that one transaction. So I paid $1,000 for it. I sold it for $2,200 on eBay. And I was
wow.
like, holy, okay, now we can actually like do some stuff. And then, so I started to take that pretty seriously and got into selling iPhones. So I'd buy iPhones cheap. I would always lowball. There's no point in not lowballing.
I think Tabor mentioned that you had done something with cell phones. I thought it was you were fixing them, but you were just buying them. Did it? Okay.
So I would just buy them on Craigslist and sell them on eBay and then just make, $150 per phone, which was great. But then I started to learn how to fix them and things like that. And so then I would buy them on eBay, like big packages of them.
And buy them like broken and...
Yeah, it just depended on whatever it was.
Whatever came.
Yeah, and my big thing was I would buy them broken but still under warranty. So I would just send them into Apple, and then they'd send me a brand new one, which made it super easy. It just didn't make sense at that time.
So they didn't know they were under warranty? Is that what...
Well, it's under it's 12 months, but it's a brand new phone. Okay, the microphone's not working. Someone's selling it without the microphone working. They just don't know how to use the warranty thing. So I got to the point, and this is, one of the best years of my life. I mean, I was buying $50,000 boxes of iPhones and then piecing them out and then just making all kinds of money, where I did $2.2 million in sales in 2015.
Shut up.
Yeah. And I probably made almost $500,000 off of this stupid iPhone thing. But 2016 came around. What the big thing happened was eBay shut me down. I couldn't sell on eBay anymore because I had let some things escalate too many times, and they don't like that.
Oh.
And you know how many scammers I had to deal with? I mean, I had the FBI calling me one time saying, "Hey, there's a Russian mafia is buying phones from you. You can't send to Russia anymore." I was like, "Yeah, that's fine. I won't do that. I don't care." But how many times did I have scammers saying, "Oh, you sent me a paperclip and not a phone?" And I'm like, "Shut up!
Right.
Like, that's so stupid." And so I hated dealing with that stuff. So I let it escalate a couple times. I was limited to 10 items on eBay a month. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I tried to recover from that. That didn't happen. And then Apple, essentially, I could only send in one phone per like a year from my address. And that became the problem with that too, because, everything that was under warranty, I couldn't warranty.
Right.
So as good as 2015 was, 2016 was like, oh man,
So you just got shut down at both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was always adapting. That was the good thing about my business. It was like, hey, let's follow this, follow that. I couldn't adapt from this, but I had some seed money. I had some money, some capital that I had built up, and I really had to sit back and say, what am I going to do with my life? What do I want my kids to go to school and say, hey, my dad is this.
Right.
Oh, my dad is an iPhone reseller from his garage.
To Russian.
Yeah, to Russian mafia. But man, those Russian mafia, they were great because half the time it would like be returned to me, but I wouldn't have to return the money. It was like, whoa, I didn't mind this at all. They wanted it shipped overnight express international. Oh, sure, I'll do that if you pay, $100 extra for it.
Right.
Anyway.
Were they putting bugs in them and sending them back? Is that?
No, I think it was actually like currency over there. They were using them as currency. Like,
Interesting.
instead of like having money flow that can be taxed, it was like, hey, we have iPhones that are worth.
Right.
And they didn't depreciate. So,
Jeez.
I don't know. And I think there's a lot of counterfeiting going on. Anyway, 2016 really was a hard year. And that's when my wife had to go back to work because we were doing really well. My wife had to go back to work, and I sat back and I said, well, the other thing was, man, I paid so much in taxes in 2015 because I was like, I made a lot of money, but I didn't spend anything. I'm from my garage. I'm watching Netflix all day. I hired my nephews to work with me, but I don't have any write-offs. So I realized I needed to have a write-off.
Right.
And so we actually made a theater room in my garage in the third bay, and we did it in the Ninja Cowboy theme. And so I put up posters of Ninja Cowboy and stuff like that and had fun with that and watched the movies with my kids for the first time. They were like 10 and 7, and they loved it.
Yeah, I was going to say, what they think.
They loved those movies. I mean, they're just like, they got to watch their mom be a ninja for 20 minutes. She's so stupid. They came to me and they said, hey, Dad, we would love to make a movie with you. Mm-hmm. 8, 7, and 8, and 10. And that was the big one where I was like, holy, I kind of forgot. And it's because I never really had a good computer that I forgot how much I love to make movies. I mean, I've been working on my house so much. That's kind of my creative outlet.
Right.
And building my business. And so I was like, if I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it as a tax write-off. And so I put my business name in the title of the movie.
Right.
And made my son Ninja, and my nephew's sons played Cowboy and Viking. And then I had my daughter, there was, 7 like superhero kids that essentially fight an evil corporation of phone people. They take over everyone's phones, and they use the power of everyone's phones in their own phones to teleport or to shoot, blasters or to manifest things and whatever. It's absolutely stupid, but we shot it in 10 days on my phone, of all things. And I don't have an iPhone. I had an LG V10, which shot in 24 frames a second in widescreen, so it was kind of fun. But we had a fun little romp around Idaho making this stupid movie called Ninja Cowboy Viking versus the Gadget Gents. And it was,
I don't have that on my list either.
Well,
these are things that are not listed.
It's my first feature film that I ever made, and we didn't know it was going to be feature film.
It just ended up being that long.
It just ended up being 90 minutes. But I decided I was going to learn everything. So I got Premiere, I got a good computer, and I probably spent 1,000 hours as my business was crumbling to finish this movie. Mm-hmm. And once we kind of got it done, we said, and when I say we, it's me and my nephew, but we were like, man, this is actually kind of a stupid fun movie. It's just kids beating up on adults. But, Cowboy and Ninja are a fun couple. They're like Shanghai Noon, like Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson, You can direct your kids as much as you want, but his kid had like this funny twang in his voice. Like, because he was trying to be a cowboy, and then Ninja's tried to do my voice. And then Viking's silent. He doesn't do anything, but he's just this strong type.
Right.
So we enjoyed the movie so much. We're like, man, what can we do with this thing? Because we want to show it. We want to show it to our family, obviously. But the kid who plays Viking, his name's Jace. He's my nephew. But when he was 4, he had surgery in his head. He had 3 surgeries, and he has a big scar on the back. And so he actually became a Make-A-Wish kid. And he went
really?
He went to Disney World. He did all kinds of stuff with the Kansas City Chiefs, and Make-A-Wish did a lot for him because he had that trauma. And so we thought that was a perfect way to kind of pay it back to Make-A-Wish if we just do a Make-A-Wish fundraiser showing our movie in theaters in Kansas, in Idaho, and then we got somebody to do it in Wyoming also. So we raised about $25,000 for Make-A-Wish, showing our stupid 90-minute film, Ninja Cowboy Viking, in theaters. And the first time we showed it was in Kansas. And we got a lot of people. There's a lot of people who wanted to donate. But we had like bouncy houses outside. We did like a little fair outside. But at the heart of it was the movie itself. and it was in their number one theater in one of the brand new theaters down there. So it was like 350 seats on this huge screen. And
So how did you get movie theaters to do this for you?
so if you just go into a movie theater and say, well, we want to show our movie, can we rent the theater? You can rent it and show it. I mean, it's pretty easy. So, but with this one, we said, hey, we're going to do a Make-A-Wish fundraiser. Would you like to be a part of it?
Right.
And they were all in. They were, we kind of told our story about giving back to Make-A-Wish, and yeah, they were excited to do it. That's why we got the number one theater, which was great. I think we were like replacing Mission Impossible Fallout or something like that, taking out the slot. So, but we did that, and Tabor will know this, but to get the movie ready for the movie theater is the most anxiety-inducing thing ever.
You got to do the DCP.
It's so, well, not even that, just finishing the movie to where it's right.
Right.
Or even just exporting it and then knowing that's it. Because it's never just it.
Or getting the audio mixed for a theater when you've been mixing it for a cell phone.
Or on your headphones.
Yeah, because it's way different. There's just so much. I mean...
And so much can go wrong. And you have 350 people there watching. It's like...
How do you properly mix something for a theater when you can't go to a theater and test it out?
Yep, exactly.
And be like, okay, well, that didn't work, so I need to go back to the drawing board.
If you do test it out, am I going to go, well, let me take notes on all these things that did not... Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was very nerve-wracking, and I was trying to get my final export out. I mean, I took my whole desktop setup to Kansas to try and figure it out, and it wouldn't finish the render. And I'm going, it's that morning, and I'm trying to finish the stupid render. And, I was learning on my own how to use Premiere Pro, of all things. But I realized when it didn't work like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, man, I only have, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours to get there. And I have to render this thing still. I looked at it, and I tried to, feel what was wrong. But there was one button where it just said, maximum render quality. And I just de-clicked that to see if that would work. And lo and behold, it started to render correctly. And I was like, oh my gosh.
If all else fails, just start hitting buttons.
Yeah. Well,
See what happens.
Yeah, when you're up to the finish line like that. I mean, and I had other versions of the film, but it was never finished like, how you wanted it. So I pressed that button, it was working, and I felt like, oh man, that's going to work. So I went to the shower. And I started getting ready, and I just started bawling in that shower. It was like, if you work on something for 1,000 hours, and it comes down to the last 2 hours, and then you have everyone, we had family fly in. It was like...
That's how I do everything.
This stress builds up.
Just crying in the shower.
I do everything with 5 minutes to spare.
Right.
Crying in the shower.
The wrong way
That's
to
my
do
entire life.
So,
getting ready for this podcast, Tabor standing in the shower bawling.
So it actually worked. It worked, and I actually brought my desktop down to the theater and plugged it into their projector system and just played it that way because I knew it would play that way.
Nice.
And it was magical. It was such an amazing experience. Just to hear everyone laugh at all the stupid jokes that were put in the stupid thing. But I was sitting next to my dad while watching it. He had never seen it, and he kind of starred in it. He's Master Gadget. He's the big guy who sends everyone to kill the kids and stuff like that, And so he's up there on the screen, and he couldn't he would lose his breath from laughing sometimes in this film.
Right.
And it was at that point right there where I said, I don't think I can come back from this. I have to dedicate everything that I have and everything I am to becoming a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I've never looked back ever since that moment.
Right on. Yeah. There's this pride thing I know your dad's laughing and it's a good time, but I guarantee there's nothing but pride that he's feeling from seeing what his son put together. Yeah.
And it's just snowballed from there. I went out and spent like $20,000 on an actual cinema camera and lenses and tripods and all kinds of things.
Was that your Ari?
No, I bought an Ursa Mini Pro.
Nice.
With my first as my
Ursa,
first
I know that
camera.
name.
Do you?
I think so.
It's Black Magic.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good
I think when I was trying to look up cameras for you for your birthday, and I was going to buy a camera, I think maybe I came across Ursa.
You also
or
know why it
something.
probably sounds familiar to you, because every time we open up the podcast and we're going to edit something, and it's
Black
showing
Magic.
you, yeah, it's showing you the products that you can buy from them.
Oh.
One of them is the
Is that
the
what it is?
Ursa. Yeah.
So I bought a cinema camera. It was so successful, we wanted to make another one. We left it open so that we could make a sequel. So we'd spent 30 days this time making a sequel to this movie called Ninja Cowboy Viking versus The Modded. And I didn't even know what aperture was. I had no idea what triangle of exposure. I didn't know how to use a cinema camera. I just made a movie to learn how to use it.
Right.
And it was a bad first couple of days. We'll just put it that way. But we got it done, and the kids had fun, and
Yeah.
well, we filmed it, but it's not out yet. There was a lot of VFX that have to be done.
So when was that one? When did you do that?
We shot that one in 2017.
Okay.
So I mean, there's
So
a cut
it's-
that exists.
It's sitting somewhere waiting to get finished.
Well, honestly, I want my kids to go in and like do the VFX. And now that we have AI, they grew up, and so I couldn't even do ADR because their voice changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the time we were ready to do ADR, and it's like, oh, geez. But I could actually use AI to pull their voices,
Their children voices, and use those
Yeah.
to do the ADR.
or I can just lean into the camp and just have them adult voices. You know, it'd be so funny if I had Diego's Ninja now, like in one of the scenes.
Right.
It'd be hilarious. But we watched it recently, and it's a hoot. It's a lot of fun. But that was my second feature film. But the big thing for me was when I was trying to finish that first film, I got implemented into or kind of connected to the Idaho indie filmmakers. And I learned that there was other people wanting to do what I was wanting to do. And man, it was such a magical time that I just got on as many sets as I could. I met as many people as I could. And I mean, obviously I had a lot to learn, and I learned what I wanted to do on set. And, you know, obviously I like to write and direct, but I also learned very good with the camera, especially camera operating and
Okay.
understanding lighting and things like that. So that is where the Idaho film family comes from. So I started my own Facebook group of people I wanted to work with. There's a number of fun festivals that you can do here in Boise. I mean, around the country, there's all kinds of little 48-hour film festivals and things like that.
Right.
But I just wanted to make something a festival where you didn't have any excuses. Every time you make something for like 48 hours, it's like, yeah, we made it in 2 days. You know, it's kind of fun. But I wanted something that you could like take to people and say, hey, this is my flagship film. Hire me, or I have bigger ideas for bigger things. And so the Idaho Film Family Festival is a competition where you have 4 months in the winter to just try and make your best film. And then we give out all kinds of awards for every department.
Short film.
Yeah, it's only a 10-minute film.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, you'd have to have
You
a
don't have
lot of
time
money.
to do feature films for everybody.
Yeah. You can do few, no budget feature films, but man, it is you're paying with something.
Right.
You know?
Right. So when did that get started? The family?
That started right after COVID, because normally I-48 does a February challenge, and they didn't do it because of COVID. And I said, it's such a fun time.
Okay.
So let me step in and do my own. So it's 2021 was the first one.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was my first one.
Yeah, that's when Rat's Nest joined the club.
That was a lot of fun. That was the year that we did
A little black and white short.
Wrong Number.
Oh,
Remember that one?
I do. Yeah.
So with that one, I picked directors out of a hat for people to kind of mimic their style, and Tabor got Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
So that's why he did a black and white piece, kind of a little thriller.
I thought it looked great in black and white. I'd like to go back and kind of add a little more contrast to a couple of the scenes.
Just let it be. Work on your next thing.
Move to the next one.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's actually very smart.
The new 4K restoration
of my 10-minute
of
short
Wrong
film.
Number.
Yeah.
I
Buy
could
the
see
Blu-ray.
where, it would be really easy to just want to keep going back and working on stuff over
And to
and
just George
over.
Lucas everything.
Right, just nonstop.
Well, the whole thing is like movies are never done.
Right.
They're just released.
Yeah, you could
Let
sit
it be.
there. You could sit there for ages
Mm-hmm.
working on the same thing, just ever and ever and ever. And if you just don't just release it, no one will ever see it. I've run into that problem recently, but not even in post-production. I've run into that problem in the development stage where I have a script and I like the first draft, but I recognize that it's flawed and that it needs to be better. And then I write the second draft and it's not good enough. And I write the third draft and it's not good enough.
And your production date is coming up.
And like I haven't even started anything, and because the script is just not right. And so this has happened to me a couple times recently where I haven't submitted anything because I haven't gotten out of the script stage. I want the script to be perfect, and because the script is not perfect, I don't cast anybody, I don't shoot a single shot, and then we run into.
Well, if you're going to make movies, you got to make the movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to move past,
And how many movies were made with bad scripts that still worked out?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
From what
hi,
I
Mark.
understand, Gladiator was like, it was not written like completely.
Gladiator, you said? Tell me this story.
Okay, I don't know the story. I mean, we're talking like TikTok Reels type of thing where they just said, a lot of it they had to make up on the fly or something like that. But
Yeah.
I don't.
You're
I
talking
have a hard
about
time believing that.
Russell Crowe?
Yeah,
Gladiator?
like the Oscar winner.
Okay. So we got Russell Crowe, and we got...
And this might be like Russell
Joaquin
Crowe,
Phoenix.
like trying to be relevant or something like that. But
Yeah.
I remember seeing a reel that was, a lot of that was not like scripted or whatnot. But
There's lots of times where you read the screenplay for something and you're like, oh, that's not at all
different movie.
how it happened, and because you have this blueprint of what you want to shoot,
Right.
and then you start working with your actors, and your actors were like, I would really like to try it this way, and you're like, okay, and then your cinematographer's like, well, I know you wanted to shoot it this way, but what about this? I think this would be really cool as well. And so this thing that you had in your head eventually just completely changes and becomes this different thing. And a lot of times it becomes this better thing. Like
Right.
what you had planned is not what, like when we shot Bump, there's that scene where I'm following with the gimbal and I'm following Nicholas and Adam. And then the sound guy gets in the freaking shot.
Right.
And he didn't know where the camera was going to be, and we didn't communicate very well, but it just became such a funny shot of just
Right.
the audio guy recording this fight scene, and then he looks at the camera and gives like the heads up.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then we just continue fighting.
Lean into the camp.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
That's great.
So Nicholas, one of my sons, Tabor's brother.
So it's been a while since we've done this. Where is the ranking in the favorite sons?
Tabor's my favorite.
Okay.
Boom.
And then we've got Briar, and we've got Haley, my daughter, and then we've got Nicholas, and then the youngest is Alec.
You just
That
went
was
by
the ranking?
age.
I know.
You chickened out.
But that ranking can change at any time.
Okay.
So just so you know.
Did you see Iron Claw?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's why we do that. It's because of
But
Iron Claw.
Nicholas he's in going to school in Hawaii right now, and he was in a musical called Aida. And so you're talking about things changing. Let me try this type of thing. Nicholas is that type of person who he's going to try stuff, and even if he doesn't have permission, he's going to try and see if he can get away with it. And
I've seen that firsthand on my film sets. Yeah.
He just does what he wants to do. And so during the practice of Aida, Nicholas was the lead, the male lead. They're doing a part where the female lead and Nicholas, they're singing to each other, and Nicholas decides that during the scene, he has to do some sort of parkour flip on the stage, which is completely out of place. And Nicholas does it because he thinks it's funny and he wants to see, I'll just do it this one time, and then I'll probably get in trouble, and the director will tell me to get off the stage or something like that. And Nicholas does it, and the director comes up to him, and Nick's like, I know, I shouldn't have done that. And the director's like, no, I like that. Let's do it every time. So,
Yeah, and you have to be comfortable with flexibility. Some people are not comfortable with flexibility, and it can be a real hindrance. I'll admit that sometimes I can be a little rigid, and so that's something I need to work on, where I have to be able to let go and kind of see where things develop.
Right.
And some really cool stuff can show up just unscripted or unprompted, and it can really change the project for the better.
Yeah, the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
So one of the big things about working on films, and we live in a weird society right now where everyone is just on their phones and they get all their information from their phones, and it's hard to be present. One of my favorite things about making independent films is you all should be present together, trying to make this like crazy, art. And I think that's some of my favorite stuff is if you are really listening to what the film needs or what's going to make someone laugh. And I think that's, Nicholas is like, how can I pep this up? And what can I do? No one's going to write a flip into the script.
Right.
Because then you can only, who are you going to cast?
Because the script would be so freaking long if you put every little minute thing that could possibly happen in that script. You got to let the actors fill in some of those empty spaces in the pages at some point,
Yeah, and if you are not present, and I think this is why I really am a good independent filmmaker, is because when I'm locked in, I'm locked in, and people kind of see that and they try and go with me.
Right.
If that makes sense. You can't be locked in if you're in between just doom scrolling whatever it is. Oh, hey, I'm not going to say any current affairs because I don't know when this is going to be aired, but and then it's like, hey, it's your time to come on. Oh, well, what am I doing? Were you not just listening to this whole conversation we were having about what's going to happen? Well, so that's been good for me, but it's been great for my kids too, for them to just be away and just be able to concentrate on something and work together on something
Right.
too.
Besides social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I had listed down here, I counted 23 short films, but I don't think I have all your short films because you're talking about a bunch of stuff that I couldn't even find.
Well,
So
I think I put them on IMDb.
did you? I don't know.
I've done a lot of short films, and is that just directing, or is that because I've done directing? I'm now very much a paid cinematographer, so I shoot 4 to 8 films a year.
So I think I pulled these off of the IMDb, and I think that what I listed on here was just the stuff that had your name on it,
Okay.
not somebody else's that maybe you
Ones I directed.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I watched a few of them. I didn't watch all of them, but I think I watched Metal Kingdom on one of your family things.
That's a fun one.
And it was awesome. But there was 2 of them, and I don't know which ones you kind of favor, but Cutting Leonard Loose.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that was my latest short film.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I loved it. I thought it was so friggin' funny.
You can relate to that one for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny. The hitman that, HR is going to let him go. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is friggin' hilarious.
Well, and that's the magic of the idea. So that movie, and it's 6 minutes long if anybody wants to go watch it, Cutting Leonard Loose. It was for an I-48. We had 48 hours to film this thing, and I had somebody had flown up from Oklahoma, a friend of ours, and he was going to act in it. And I
Barry,
didn't know,
if you're listening, we love you.
Oh, Barry should be listening.
Oh,
He doesn't have anything
Barry.
better to do.
I love Barry. He's such an awesome guy.
So he was going to star in it, and I wanted something to do. So we have 2 days to film this thing, and then we got our prompts and everything, and I was supposed to write it, and I don't remember what I was doing, but I remember I had something was in the way, but I didn't get around to writing it, and it became Saturday, and we only had like 24 hours left, and so we all just sat in the theater room and discussed, well, what do you want to do? And Barry was the one who said, because I gave him a bunch of ideas, I just have a million ideas, but he said, yeah, I like the idea of a hitman getting laid off.
Right.
And so I was like,
But the whole
all right, here we go. And then I just wrote us all into it. All everyone who was in front of the camera was behind the camera.
Right.
And so it was only 4 of us, but we wrote and shot and edited that thing in 24 hours, which is kind of crazy. But it was almost like it worked because we didn't have time to say no to anything. It was just like, yeah, well, that works. We're going to do it.
Just
All
do
right,
it.
We're going to do a 3-legged race. Cool. We're going to do it.
Gosh, yeah.
But that's a fun little one. I do like that one a lot. And that one did win the I-48, which made us some money. So that's good.
Nice. Then the other one I just watched recently was, so I wrote down, after I watched them, and I wrote down the name of the movie, the short film. Then I wrote one word, what did I think? What's the one word that I've got for this? And
you can be mean. It's okay.
so I wrote very funny, which is, I know is 2 words,
Okay.
but we're going to smash them together. So it's just very funny, that one.
Yeah.
The second one that I watched was No Daddy Daughter Dance.
Oh, that's my flagship film.
And I wrote down emotional.
Yeah.
And then next to that, I wrote brilliant story.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually a 3-worder.
Well, that's very nice of you. I mean, No Daddy Daughter Dance was the one that I've always had tugging on me, that I knew needed to come out, and it should only be a short film. That's not going to be a feature film,
Yeah.
But that was one that it's kind of based on a true story where my daughter had she was lying to us about something, and I said,
Uh-oh.
"Hey, if you were lying to us, then we are not going to Daddy Daughter Dance." And we found out she was lying. And she was so repentant, She wrote me a note and said, "I'm so sorry, Dad. I was lying about this. Please don't take away Daddy Daughter Dance." And there's a conflict there as a dad, because I don't want to be a liar. I want to raise her right, but at the same time, I want to go to Daddy Daughter Dance.
Right.
I
Right.
want that memory. So
then you're thinking, maybe I shouldn't have used that as the punishment. Maybe I should have thought of something else.
Well, I knew that was serious enough to bring it out of her, but no, she stuck to her guns and said, "No, I'm not lying." And then it was a day later that she told me. But obviously I changed some things in the script, but the heart of it was there, of a conflict of a father wanting to teach her daughter, but in the wrong ways, essentially is what it was. And it had a lot to do with, ideas about God and how, sometimes he forgives us in different ways, or we repent in different ways, but normally it comes out as the best for you.
Sure.
And that's what that movie was.
Nice.
So this is probably the wrong thing to latch onto when you watch this short film, but this has kind of been eating away at me. Not terribly, just kind of a little gnawing at my brain.
Like you're standing in the shower crying and thinking about it?
Did you actually have an ankle injury when you shot that?
Oh, I hope I didn't. No, of course I didn't.
Really?
I was acting. But, I have had an
I was going to
ankle
ask him the
injury
same
before.
thing.
I was like, I wonder if he actually had an ankle injury, and he was just like, show must go on, because it's such a almost kind of like an inconsequential thing that was part of this character. But I mean, there was parts where I was like, oh, I think that's why he has the ankle injury, because that needs to happen. And then there's some parts of the movie where I'm like, no, I think he really has an ankle injury, and then he just wrote around that. But
Right.
Somebody actually did that for the Idaho. The first winner of the Idaho Film Family Festival was Wander. It was about a guy. The actor had ankle surgery.
That's one of his favorites.
Yeah, but it was about a guy climbing a mountain. He wanted to climb a mountain like he does every year with his sister.
Right.
And he had to do it with a broken ankle. And it won, and it was kind of on the same lines of No Daddy Daughter Dance,
Right.
But no, I did not have an ankle broken. I didn't think it was too believable that the dad would just be like, "No Daddy Daughter Dance," and that's it. They gave him more of an incentive to not go, because he's in pain.
Right.
He doesn't want to go because he's hurt.
Well, then on the other side of that, when you finally do take her and go dancing, you're seeing how committed this dad is, even though he's injured. It would have been way easy to just say, "We're not going, we're done, that's the end of it."
Yeah.
But still, you want to do what you want to go. So
I should have shown how many ibuprofens I was popping. 4 ibuprofens, Tylenols, just to be able to make that happen.
ibuprofen commercial.
Even in our head, when we feel pain, there's always like, man, I'm just not going to do it. And it becomes an easy solution if you really want to do something. And
Right.
I kind of showed that when he's just like, oh, put it on the brace.
So the house didn't really catch on fire.
No, but that was actually based on a true story of my mom. I ran out of the
Really?
I left the house without them knowing and went to my friend's house, and our dryer caught on fire, and she searched the whole basement for me with it flaming, and she could not find me.
Jeez.
And that's exactly what happened.
That's so funny, taking two
This is
completely different Newton family stories and
this is
merging them into
an amalgam
yeah.
of
Well,
real life things.
And I think that's what makes the movie work is it speaks a truth. You know, it feels very authentic because we did live those things, you know. It's not the exact story of everything, but it was the dilemma that I had and my mom saving me when I wasn't even there.
Right. That's hilarious. So that film you're talking about the brother climbing the mountain and the sister we find out in the end is dead and stuff. And this movie, if a movie can grab a hold of me emotionally, it's a good movie. I think, you know, that's a real talent. I mean, it's really easy to make a shoot 'em up movie and whatnot, and those are fun. But for me, watching something that gets me emotionally involved in it is like, well, this is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I did make that movie from the beginning. I wanted that moment of a father bringing in his daughter from the car and just melting down.
Yeah.
I wanted to test myself as an actor and also as a director because I ask a lot of people to cry for me, and I wanted to see if I could do it, right? And it took a lot of work to be able to just be in that place. We did that take 9 times, and I had to go from 0 to 100 every single time, all the way up the stairs, carrying my daughter.
Right.
And there's so many things that I just wanted to test myself. But one of the big things that happened is I started to dream about playing with my daughter when she was like 5 and stuff like that. And I would wake up and my pillow would just be completely wet. I was just sobbing all night in my dreams.
Oh, wow.
Because I was just so like mentally into it.
Right.
But, you know, that added to the performance. And even just understanding how I personally, whenever I direct actors, I never want them to channel something like bad in order to cry. Even though they might be going through something bad as a character. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I'm going to die, or someone just died in front of me. Traditionally, it's just not healthy to do that as an actor. So on No Daddy Daughter Dance, I had to try and figure out what was the thing that triggered me as a person and me as an actor, or me as a character.
Okay.
And it was that one line, you're getting so big.
Yeah, yeah.
And once I like connected that and that was the trigger, I could do it every time.
Yeah.
It was pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
Because I mean it's authentic. It is something that parents really do live with, and it's pretty easy to.
So if you're so into that character that you're dreaming and waking up,
I made that spray bottle.
Crying and sopping wet, what's happening there is you're Daniel Day-Lewising the.
Yeah. Well, I'm
character.
definitely immersing myself. I'm not quite. Well, I mean, I'm not that far from the character, so it's not that too crazy. But.
No, that was probably relatively, I would think, easy because you're playing the dad to your daughter. Yeah. These emotions are real. So.
And I had to do it because we interlaced it with actual memories of me and my daughter.
Yeah.
So, and then imagine me editing that later, right? And there was 2 steps where it's just like, man, when I edited it together, it's like, oh my gosh, this is just such a pretty moment. But then I got back the music from the composer, and it didn't work. It was like way off, and I was like, oh my gosh, how do I go back to the composer and say, hey, this sucks? Sorry, Mike, but I did. I went back and I said, hey, this isn't. I think we just need to go in a different direction. Can you just start from brand new? And what I want you to do is I want you to write a song for your daughter and what it means for your relationship. And so he wrote that little theme there.
Okay.
You know, it's Grace's theme.
Right.
And it's such a beautiful moment in the film.
That was probably a smart way to handle that. To have him, let's put you here. Let's have you think about.
And he did.
Yeah.
And it worked out pretty well.
Nice.
So you're talking about crying, and it made me think about that time that we were filming Metal Kingdom, and you needed to get tears from your daughter.
Oh yeah,
on that one.
Well, I've done that a lot at this point. I have to make her cry. I mean, it's just, and I learned a lot with her. And this is a little, trade secrets that I've learned because I can get pretty much anybody to cry now. With her, the first time I ever had her like fully cry, she's just supposed to burst into the room and say, oh, I had a bad dream. And she was supposed to be crying. And she has this long monologue of what she dreamt about. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? She's like 8. Well, I got her in the car and I started driving around with her. And I said, well, let's just let's just think about this. Okay, what if your mom was dead? Okay. And she just said, well, mama's dead, and that's okay. She couldn't really internalize that.
Right.
And then this was the trick. I said, okay, if mom wasn't here anymore, what would your day be like? And when she started to go through her day of what it'd be like without her mom, it broke her. She couldn't come back from it. But even just understanding that love for someone and kind of placing it that way and placing yourself in that,
Right.
it those are some of my tricks as far as like getting people to cry or just be in the moment. And so she did it. She did great. And it took a little bit of time when we're actually on set to get her to that place again. But we knew she had a trigger, and we just found that trigger.
Right.
But the trigger was based in love.
How easy is it to shut them down after that?
Well, with little kids, it is harder. I mean, and I feel so bad sometimes because sometimes with my actors, it's like, hey, all right, I really need you to have this moment here. And I remember Holland was one of them. Holland Stoll. She's been in a lot of my movies, but she's supposed to just be in that moment and just watch this horrific thing happen. And then it was like, okay, action. And she does all the acting. She goes all the way there. And I'm like, all right, cut. All right, we're moving on. Let's go. And I felt so bad. And then like the makeup came up and like hugged her, and she's like embracing her. And I was like, oh, I don't know if that's my place to go hug a 16-year-old girl.
Right.
But I,
You
the
said
job's
cut.
done. Yeah.
I said cut.
I said cut. We're moving on. We got stuff to do here.
When we shot Wrong Number, Haley would get to that place by watching the final scene from A Dog's Purpose. And it's a movie where, at the end, the dog has to be put down because he's so old and stuff like that.
And that's the stuff that's dangerous to me.
So Haley would watch that and then start crying.
Now you'd probably just bring up Kiki.
Yeah.
Oh,
that would
destroy it. Yeah.
See, the hard part is you're not connecting it to your character, though. Like if you're connecting to something else that you cry from, but if you can internalize what your character is, like actually experiencing it, then it trigger your character. That is the best way to do it usually.
Right.
And man, we're talking a lot about crying, but this is a part of directing. Directing is like therapy for a lot of people, and you need to know how people
like acting is
emotions and
acting
things like that.
Therapy.
It's an important part of directing, and I'm very emotionally aware. I'm okay crying. I never say I'm sorry for crying.
Yeah,
it's just gonna happen. But
I don't anymore. Like as I've gotten older as a dad, I cry over everything. Everything my kids do, whatever they're doing, I'm probably crying.
Yeah, it's how love manifests in you, and that's great.
I'm probably going to cry. Don't worry about it. I'm just crying.
Have you cried on the podcast yet?
Not on the podcast.
Oh,
although
it's going to happen.
What'd
you think of Up?
Up? Okay, I probably cried on Up.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching it in 3D in my classes for like fogging up. I'm like, oh my gosh.
He can't watch 3D movies. He's blind in one eye.
Oh, well, there you go.
Hey, that's a spoiler alert.
You can watch like this.
That's for people for Spotify who are paying extra. They get to find out about that.
That's the Patreon exclusive.
Oh yeah, the Patreon.
The members.
Thanks, you blew that. That's all I got too.
Yeah.
If you donate to the highest tier, you get my father's medical records.
We'll get you to cry sometime.
Yeah.
So actually, it's funny you just said that, because when we were just talking about this No Daddy Daughter dance, and we're talking about the emotion involved in it and stuff, I have to admit that my eyes started to get a little watery.
Yeah, I hope so, because they speak to your truth also. You're a father.
Right.
I mean, your kids have grown up, and it's hard to watch them.
So what other short film, did you watch some of them, Tabor?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Tabor's watched all 23.
I've watched every single
I'm
one.
assuming you have more than 23.
He's probably ridden. He rode in the car with me, and I just put him up while we drive. I'm like, guys, you got to study up.
No!
My hands are tied.
He's holding your eyes open.
Clockwork orange your eyes.
He's just bird boxing me. I've seen a lot of them. It's going to really weird is that I watched Daddy Daughter Dance for the first time today.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. You weren't quite in it.
And the thing is that
when I premiered that.
There's others that you have shown me, and you sat me down, and I watched them. And then there's others that I have scouted out for myself and watched. And I don't know why I haven't seen Daddy Daughter Dance all the way. So I watched it for the first time today,
Yeah.
and you're right. I think that's one of your flagship films.
It is my flagship film.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe Metal Kingdom now. I kind of feel.
Well, that's my directing style film for sure. That's
Metal Kingdom is.
Metal Kingdom is the special effects.
yeah.
Like the action special effect thing is just like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I love action adventure, and really, a lot of times when I'm writing my films, I just have one line that I can't get in my head. And this one was, a robot followed me home from school. And so it was named that for a while, a robot followed me home from school.
Right.
And it was supposed to be like a 6-foot, like female robot or something that's kind of lost, and it kind of plays in the same tropes of what you've seen before with E.T. and with the Iron Giant and things like that, but with its own spin. How fun. The big thing with that is every character, I want to give them a want and a wound. And, our main character, Mal's, who's played by my daughter, she has a dead father and she's struggling with it. And she's struggling in school and things like that. And
Right.
and he kind of fills that gap, and that was the important part for me. So in the end, when she is crying, you kind of understand the context of it, that she's been through this before. And that is why it is hurting her. Because most of the time she was just like, it's a fun robot, but is this thing going to follow me everywhere? And so that's kind of the fun of it. But I mean, it kind of plays in the same thing as most robot movies, though. Oh, the self-sacrifice, but you can have connection with anything, but the whole thing is connection is important for everyone.
Right. So where can people go to watch these short films?
If you just go on YouTube, they're all on YouTube. Some, like No Daddy Daughter Dance, is on Amazon. You can buy it for 99 cents. But
Okay.
YouTube, just my name, Kody with a K, Newton, and
Okay.
you're going to find a lot of this stuff. I have a whole playlist of short films if you want your own Newton to Newton Productions Film Festival,
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. And another one I watched today was For Jane. That one was fun.
That was an I-48.
Yeah, it was nice seeing Holland Stull again.
Yep.
It's always fun to see her. And I watched Jared Stull on that one, and he did such a good job. He's so natural.
Oh yeah,
He does
He's great.
such a good job.
Well, he's naturally funny, so
Yeah.
it makes it easy to like him.
He's a director too. We should talk about getting him in here and talking to Jared Stull. I think he'd be a fun one to talk to
Yeah.
also.
He's around here?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
He's in Boise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just for the viewers at home, For Jane is just, the story of it is a dad tries to figure out who the secret admirer is that is leaving his daughter's flowers every day.
Okay.
So it's a nice, sweet one also.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And so, yeah, I think I have almost seen, I don't think I've seen the Ninja Cowboy stuff except the one that you showed me.
It's so silly.
But I think I've seen all of your short films now. I think I'm caught up.
You know what I
I
think
doubt
we
that.
need to do? I think we need to set up the outdoor movie theater
Oh boy.
and get these shows, one of these nights.
Just
We'll
watch
just
it
sit
on
out there and watch them.
Yeah, that sounds like a chore.
on the big screen.
That'd be fun. They
I
do,
mean, it would
they
be
do
fun.
it every summer. They
Yeah.
get their little projector out
we
there.
set up
and-
the projector. We set up the big screen out there and chairs and
Yeah.
I don't think you need to watch all of my short films. I think the story behind making them is actually more interesting than the actual movie.
So I guess give us a list of the 5 you want us to watch. And
Well, you
a
kinda
list of
already watched them.
5. A list of 5 that you want us to stay away from.
Oh, well,
well,
you're going to go watch the ones to stay away from.
Yeah, I'm going to probably need to find all these Ninja Cowboy movies too,
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
because
Those are on my Vimeo. I can
this
send you
sounds
links.
like a cult thing to me.
So those ones I used copyrighted music in them, so I can't put them on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So they're just on Vimeo.
Nice.
And they're so stupid though. Just watch Ninja Cowboy and Pirate. That's it.
How are we doing on time?
We are an hour and 13 in.
Okay,
Oh
we're
my
good.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So I'd like to talk about 259.
Oh, let's
the
do
new,
it.
The new feature that you've put together.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we have a new movie called 259, like 2:59 a.m. And it's a good little horror movie.
Yeah.
Now, is it out somewhere yet, or it's still in the works of?
It's in my
finishing?
computer.
Okay. So everybody, if you go to Cody's house,
Yeah.
it's on his computer.
Oh, I'll show you.
I've been to Cody's house. I've seen it.
Have you seen it yet?
I saw your
Oh, you did a test screening.
I saw your test screening. I haven't seen where it's at now.
Tabor pulled focus on this movie, so he was there for the chaos.
Nice.
I was there for the Idaho unit.
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about this film.
Yeah.
259 is based on a true story. My friend Ryan, who's the DP on the film, he had a story of a possession in his apartment complex that he told me one time, and freaky stuff was happening as he was telling me.
This is real. He's telling you real stuff.
He was telling me the real stuff, and did I tell this story before? So
You lightly glossed over it in the last episode.
Okay.
But you haven't told the full thing.
well, I'm not going to tell the full story because that is the movie. The first half of the movie is all the true stuff that happened.
Okay.
But as he was telling us this stuff, I mean, I was getting chills on the back of my neck. I had a GPS that had never done this before, but the GPS started to zoom in and out and say rerouting, and we're driving back from Seattle, where I mean it should not be doing that. It just became a very strange atmosphere.
Right.
He had hairs on the back of his neck as he was telling it because he hadn't really told anyone the whole story. I had so much anxiety, and I never have anxiety. I just don't. I thought we were going to hit a deer or something like that, and turned out we hit a deer carcass. We ran over a deer carcass when we were there, and it just he was telling me the story, and I took it all in, and then we pulled over to go to the bathroom, and after we went to the bathroom, we got in the car, and I said, "Hey, Ryan, there's two things I want to tell you."
Don't ever tell me that story again.
Well, I said this would make an amazing movie. It has all the beats of everything of a horror movie, and I think that we should take it and run and make a movie out of it. And a lot of this stuff was happening around 2:59 a.m. That's why it was called that, because it's the minute before witching hour.
Okay.
And essentially in our minds, that is when kind of the gates open, and we just assumed the gates were opening in that one spot in the apartment complex, and that's kind of what
That's kind of
that's
freaky.
259 is based on. So the first thing I said, was we should make this movie. The second thing I said to him, I said, we need to pray. And Ryan is not a religious person, I'm raised Mormon, so I wanted to test this theory out because I had never really been in the spot where I felt impending danger and this anxiety. So I prayed. We prayed together. And immediately we started to feel better. And he kept on telling some of the story because the story kind of continued with him and what he experienced. But I put on like hymns to be able to counteract the horror stuff, which was very weird.
Yeah.
But that right there, that was the great idea to me. When we did that, the story to me was, what if you have three different ideologies trying to get rid of a demon? So that's what 259 is about. It's about three teens. One's a Christian, one's a non-believer, and one's a witch, all trying to get rid of a demon. So it's like Harry Potter meets The Conjuring, essentially. Can you pray a demon away? Can you exorcise it? Can you use a spell? Can you just not believe it's there? It explores all those things, and that's the second half of the film when you really see what happens with the kids.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I came in and took liberties and explored a lot of those things. And I mean, Tabor will attest to this, but the second half is a lot of fun. It becomes just a horror adventure movie of three kids trying to get rid of a demon.
Right on.
When is 259 slated to premiere?
So I wanted to do it in May because it's around my son's birthday. Kids are in school. People aren't going. So we're doing VFX right now. And as long as VFX are on track, we are hoping to have it out next month.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, in Boise. And then we'll just self-distribute and get it out on Tubi or in Amazon Prime and for download.
Nice. Okay.
With a limited theatrical run.
Yeah. And
So you're going to have a showing in May in Boise. You don't
That's
know
the goal.
exactly when yet, though.
I don't know.
Okay.
We'd have to look at the theater too, because I looked at doing it at the Egyptian, and
Egyptian's
it's
awesome.
expensive.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's such a cool
$3,500.
theater, though.
It is. And
I think it might be haunted.
Oh, it probably is. For sure. If you think about it, everything's haunted.
And you were talking about how you were hoping to leverage some of the publicity from the death of Snow White to help shotgun 259 into people's consciousness.
Yeah.
So you want to talk a little bit about the death of Snow White?
I would love to. So, I mean, we did 259 before. We were going to release it before, but shortly after we made that movie, the producer of 259 and my good friend Sean Lutzis, he has a daughter who's in 259. Her name's Sanaya, but she looks like Snow White. It's kind of uncanny, but she's an actress, and a lot of this stuff was happening with Rachel Zegler in the news. This is early on when we heard her complaining about 1937 Snow White and how the princess is going to save her and all that stuff. And so Sean was talking with his family, and somebody said, well, why didn't she do Snow White? And Sean came to me and my good friend Jason Brooks. Jason Brooks, he did all the special effects on 259. I've worked with him on a lot of things.
Okay.
But we were like, horror Snow White? 100% yes, we can do that. Because the hardest part about independent film is marketing your film. It's very hard to get it out there for people to watch because there's so much other things people are going to be doing. But if you have something that immediately people recognize and want to see, we thought it was a home run. So I was the one who said, hey, Jason needs to write and direct this, and I will kind of be with him on that journey. So anything he would write, he would send to me, and I'd send him notes and things like that. I mean, it was like that until the end, even with editing. And so it was me, Jason, and Naomi, who were always just pushing this thing creatively. But we got like $750,000 to shoot this thing. But we had to like rent a castle. We had to build a castle. We had Renaissance Fair people. We had all kinds of costumes.
This is absolutely incredible.
There's like 40 kills in it. And it really stretches what independent film can do. And this is all, I mean, we've made 7 films together, me, Jason, and Sean. So it was, it's kind of, we knew what to expect with this one, but there was a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
The big thing that we wanted in The Death of Snow White was we wanted little people actors. And I'm going to call them LP actors just because it's easy to say. But the dwarves make the movie.
Yeah.
Like, they're killer dwarves. And they are so much fun. It's just, I mean, it almost brings you back to the old cult classics of the 80s, like Willow and Time Bandits and things like that. It just, and I don't know why Disney
did you see Time Bandits?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I haven't seen it.
Long time ago.
They have so much character, and they have a place in film. I mean, they have an eternal place in film, and they belong in a Snow White movie. So that was the big thing for us, is we wanted the not only the opportunity to work with LP actors, but we wanted to show the world what LP actors could do.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of stunts. There's all kind of blood stuff. I mean, it's pretty rated R.
So where, how do I word this? What's PC here?
Yeah, because we're always PC.
I know. The director, where is he from? Where was this done at?
So Jason's from Seattle.
Okay.
So we shot everything in Seattle, except for a little bit in northern Idaho at a castle.
Okay. And so how many?
Where are the castles in northern Idaho?
Sandpoint.
Really?
There's a castle off the lake up there, yeah.
Good grief. Okay.
It's
We
just
might
like,
have to check it
it's
out.
like a $17 million castle. Whatever.
We could go do a podcast from a castle.
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
That'd be a lot of
It
fun.
would be.
So has he been in film for a while, Jason?
I mean, he was just working, doing normal stuff until he got into Friday the 13th fan films. That's where I met him.
Okay.
I worked with him on a Friday the 13th fan film, and then we made like 2 more, and I DP'd him. But he's amazing at special effects, and he played Jason. He's like this big 6'6" guy. But he's a great character actor and things like that. So that's why it was right up his alley to make this horror Snow White film. Right. Because he knows everything about the special effects, and really he did all the costumes. I mean, him and Naomi.
So where do you go to find little people actors?
Well, you just cast for them where you cast normally, but we actually had some inside agents, I guess, agents, I think they're called, who had little people actors on their rosters, and so we went there first. We had a lot of people committed, like the LP actor from Pirates of the Caribbean was supposed to be in it, and
I love that guy.
Yeah,
He's
the
great.
guy from Bad Santa was supposed to be in it.
Really?
I don't know their names, but we just did not have the money to treat them how they wanted to be treated.
I'll pull up the picture.
Yeah.
This movie, It had to be a passion project.
$750,000. That's like a Marvel movie type money, isn't it?
Yeah, if Marvel's going to cater for one day.
Right.
It feels like a Marvel movie, though. That's the fun part. Is this movie? It feels so much bigger than it actually was.
All right. The guy from Pirates of the Caribbean, his name is Martin Kleba,
Oh yeah.
and you would recognize him
Martin.
immediately.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, he was attached, but like I said, we all had to take a pay cut. Everyone got paid the same. The PA got paid as the cinematographer, got paid as the director.
Okay.
So because we knew we had to put everything into just making this the best that we could. And so that trickled down also to the actors too.
Right.
And so, I mean, we couldn't grab him and, hey, we're only going to pay you guys this much, but we're going to pay him $8,000 a day. I don't know if he has that much of a draw, to this, to
Right.
justify that.
Huh.
But yeah, it was a huge labor of love, and it really did push the boundaries of what independent film can do. And we did a premiere recently in LA, and people just loved it. We had some YouTube reviewers there who just were kind of flabbergasted that we were able to pull this off and how campy and fun it is.
Right.
But it's supposed to have a limited theatrical run on April 18th and then on streaming by the summer.
Oh, streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's where the common folk like me
Yep.
will see it on streaming.
Well, hopefully we get a theater in Boise. I mean,
Oh, that would be cool.
I think we're trying to get I think we have AMC and Regal in certain areas, and so we have a Regal here.
Yeah.
So you guys going to do a road show?
No,
No?
that's pretty expensive.
Is it?
I mean, for us to go everywhere and do everything. I mean, we're making more movies.
Yeah. I
You
guess,
gotta-
yeah.
We don't have
Halt.
a year to promote this thing.
Haul around your desktop computer to all
yeah.
the movie theaters and
We should have
plug
to
it
do
in.
that. But that one's fun, and that one it's gonna become a cult classic. I can already feel it.
Yeah.
I just know with the LP actors and just the content of it.
I can't remember if I saw a clip of it or I just saw pictures of
Probably a
it.
trailer.
It might have been a trailer.
Yeah, we have a trailer on IGN now, and Bloody Disgusting covered us, and Fangoria covered us, and all kinds of things. So
really
it's
cool.
actually a really exciting time.
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted to wait until after this movie to do 259, because 259 is completely original, and so it's hard for me to say, oh, hey, go watch this original story. It's kind of like it's a cool movie,
Right.
Nobody has any incentive.
Yeah,
to go see
you
it.
start with something that's got a little bit of intellectual property, and then that gets you a little bit of traction. And then you can show your original film, and you'll kind of
Right.
drum up some fans from, Snow White and some of the Friday the 13th films. And
Yeah.
Yeah, so the trailer was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought, oh, I need to see
It's
this.
pretty intense.
Does 259 have a trailer?
No, but that comes out on at the Idaho Film Family Festival.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
the next day on YouTube, so April 20th.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm going to the Idaho Family Film Festival.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Hopefully your son has a movie in it. I haven't heard anything about it.
hopefully.
Yeah, if I haven't heard anything about it, then
He was
did do it.
working on some ideas and stuff, and then he came to me and he was talking about he kind of scrapped all the ideas.
Oh, you're still in the idea
And-
stage.
You remember that theoretical
it's
I was
due in
telling
2
you about
weeks,
where I
right?
had a script
But
and
he-
I couldn't get the script right? That's exactly what I
Wait,
was
it's
talking
due
about.
in
So-
1 week.
But
All right.
he told me about an idea that he had, and he laid out the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this is a fantastic story.
Yeah.
This would be relatively easy to do. It's not going to take a lot of people to put together. So I was kind of hoping that would come together. I thought that was kind of a cool idea.
I still might do it. I've been thinking about it, and I kind of want to.
We got to get past the thinking about it.
Yeah.
Now we got to move into
I know.
we're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, you just have to develop that person or that thing that gets you to the checkpoint of, oh, it's good enough. For me, I will send it to like my nephew, or I'll send it to Jared Stoll or Lee Vanderbo or whatever. Just people who kind of have the same sensibilities as me. And once they say, oh, I like it, or that worked for me,
Right.
then I'm like, okay, we're making it, because
Cool.
it'll just only get better from there. But
Yeah.
even to throw around ideas, you just have to have that one person.
Well, and you can change a script a gazillion times,
Yeah.
but at some point you got to get it on film.
Yep.
And
Well, and even like you guys talked about, Edgar Wright in your first podcast, but like Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, they bounce off each other.
Yeah.
And then it just became, well, we're going to go with that because that's the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Right. Nice.
Bounce those ideas, Tabor. Get it done. You have a week.
Have a week.
With
Have a
this
week.
idea, if I can get a Bigfoot costume,
Oh yeah.
then I
easy.
can get this done in a week. This is something that I can get done in a week.
Have you gotten on Facebook and said, does anyone have just get on Caldwell
I
Must
need
Know.
a Bigfoot costume.
Yeah.
Cody,
I'm sure people
do you have
have
a Bigfoot costume?
I have an Elmo costume.
Okay.
I think that
we might
makes it
have to
even
change
better.
the story.
Spray paint it brown.
Yeah, you could. I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, it was a fairly simple story. There wasn't a lot of moving parts to it, but it was a cool story, and I think there was.
Then put your hero on crutches.
I think what I liked was there was some emotion built into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can get it to go, I'd get it to go.
Mick's a big fan of emotion, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. Which none of my films ever have. So it's
Yet.
we're kind of
He's in new territory.
we're kind of starved for emotion. Yeah, it is kind of new territory. I mean, the Bigfoot thing still kind of plays with the horror aspect that I'm always a big fan of, but it was kind of more of like a drama idea with just this Yeti in it. So I mean,
All under 10 minutes.
I bet it would fit under 10 minutes.
Great.
Oh yeah.
Well, we got anything else we want to talk about? We talked about Snow White. We talked about
259.
259.
I'm excited about 259.
Yeah. Well, I will sit here and say it right now. You guys will like this film.
Yeah.
It just plays to your sensibilities. And it's not scary. It's not a horror movie. It is a horror adventure.
Yeah.
So kind of like the 80s stuff that you grew up with.
Yeah.
Kind of like E.T. and the Steven Spielberg. It does give me kind of like a Steven Spielberg vibe.
Yeah, you haven't heard it with the new score.
Yeah.
Also.
Does the score add to the Steven Spielberg or
it
take
adds
away
so
from
much
it?
to it. I had him play right into the John Williams
I
style.
love it. That's great. Well, 259, that's out next. What, I don't want to rush you, but what is after 259?
So what's next is we're doing a feature film of Metal Kingdom.
Oh, you are.
Yeah. So we're going to, Indiegogo's first. So we're going to try and raise about $150,000 for it and do a movie about a girl and a robot run around a mining town.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, you already know it works, but I'm drastically changing up
Yeah.
what the short film was.
I think you had mentioned that.
Kinda like-
that the feature is not.
Yeah. 259 was a short also. We just did a short where a kid was being haunted,
Yeah.
by a demon.
Yeah, I saw that listed on the 259 listed on the short films, and I thought, was that a mistake or okay?
And we kind of did it just to, get horror under our belt.
Right.
And practice some jump scares and things like that. But the movie itself is very different. You wouldn't even think they're the same movie at all.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But Metal Kingdom, I'm just going to say a few things that might interest you guys. But
Okay.
you've heard of the Knights of Ren on Star Wars?
Yeah.
I feel like they
don't
didn't
think
do
he
that very
has.
well. So you had the Knights of Ren in the Rise of Skywalker.
That these characters that are mentioned and that they are
they're-
built up to be this incredible fighting force,
Yep.
and you never see any of it.
They fight once in the dark, and
You
he just kills
never
them.
see it.
And I had always heard about these, the Knights of Ren. I didn't, I'm still doing a little bit of research on them, but in general, I want my robots to be the Knights of Ren. And they're going to have individual fights, kind of like almost like anime style. Not style, but, like, you don't like anime, so forget it. In
he
a
knows
show
me.
called Demon Slayer,
He knows me.
they have to face a boss. They have to problem solve. They have to learn what they do and then try and defeat them. And that's the joy of, that show.
Yeah.
I want to do that with just 5 different robots that are infesting this mining town. But the big thing about these robots is they are trying to understand humanity. And they understand that the source of power that they want to be is they want to be the one true religion. So you have the head robot who wants to be Jesus. And anybody who does not do his will, he will kill. Kind of like the old Christianity stuff.
Holy mackerel.
Because that's what AI understands about religion.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just that when I took that spin on the bad character, Fox is his name, I was like, I would love to see robots exploring religion with people because they don't value people. There's no compassion. How would they understand compassion?
Right.
And then we have the one robot that has escaped this robot cult essentially and has latched on to a little girl who is missing a dad. And I wrote this morning kind of the tagline or the theme of the movie is a young woman who needs a man in her life and a robot who doesn't know how to be a man. And that's the Metal Kingdom feature. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
And we shoot that in July.
I'm excited.
Oh,
July.
yeah.
So if you need somebody on Metal Kingdom to make people cry, you let me know. I'll come in. I'll make people cry.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Can I recommend a shot for Metal Kingdom?
Yeah.
You don't have to use it, but
The one shot.
I think it would be so cool.
Okay.
We were talking about Quentin Tarantino and his inspiration. He was a really big fan of samurai films and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the title of it. We looked it up, but I already forgot. But there's a samurai film where the samurai slices this guy in the chest, and they have a hose hooked up to his costume. And the hose was supposed to bleed, and you were supposed to watch this blood just slowly fill his gi, and then he was supposed to die. But the hose had a malfunction, and when they went to release the blood, instead of oozing out, it shot like a fountain, just sprayed everywhere. And then so it just this massive spray of blood just shuddering out of this guy's chest, and then he falls to the ground. And they were like, all right, reset, we got to do it again. And the director was like, no, that's perfect. And it has gone on to influence anime and future, samurai films where
it's almost a campy spray, right?
They get sprayed.
We have one of those in 259.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
every Quentin Tarantino movie
has it. So we were talking about these robots, and I thought it'd be so cool if who's the good robot again?
His name's Eros.
Eros. If he fights one of these Knights of Ren and he does one of those samurai slices, and he just stands there, and then all of a sudden, just these sparks just shoot out like a gust of blood.
Well, sparks and oil.
Yeah,
I mean that's
some sort of fluid that comes out
it's
of
like
a robot.
It's delayed.
Yeah,
and then just start shooting out. I think that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my one suggestion.
You got it. That was that's the Tabor shot. I'll write that down in the script.
The Tabor shot. Well, cool. Kody, thank you very much for coming out and being on the podcast again.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Well,
it was really nice to not have to do any research on another director and to just let you come.
He told us everything.
Yeah. Well, I did enough research on myself.
Yeah,
I've been
absolutely.
doing it for about 43 years.
Yeah. Well, I had a really good time. Dad, you had a good time?
I had a good time.
Yeah.
He's emotional about it.
Yeah.
I got tears in my eyes right now. I got to go get in the shower.
Yeah. You got anything else to add?
Nothing. I'm done.
All right. Well,
I think we went for long enough.
yeah.
The only thing I do want to add at the end is independent film, I feel, is going to be somewhat of the savior of the cinema industry.
It always is.
And it is the original thought. So if people do have the opportunity to, especially to support indie film, but go see things that maybe are not the Terrifier movies. Even the Death of Snow White, I'm like, yeah, we got to put 40 kills in this thing to make people go watch it.
Yeah.
Can we not do something like Metal Kingdom, where it's something more?
I do think that you're right about the independent film. I think it is getting bigger and it's growing and more people are involved in it.
Well, people are just getting so tired of what they're putting out and the same old thing and how much money they're spending.
The whole thing is cyclical. The studio system finds something that works, and they mass produce it on a giant scale, and it gets boring, and everyone gets sick of it, and then the independent scene comes out. And one of the times that this happened was in the 70s, and we got George Lucas, we got Martin Scorsese,
John Carpenter was making.
John Carpenter, we got all these independent people, and everyone started seeing this. And that's what became popular. And then the studio system sees, okay, what we weren't making before isn't working. So now this is what's working, these little independent things.
Yeah.
And so then they take that over, and then they suck the life out of that.
Yeah.
So, and then it happened again in the 90s where the independent scene came back. We got Quentin Tarantino, we got Wes Anderson,
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith, Paul Thomas Anderson, and all of a sudden the 90s, all these independent films are what people are wanting to see. And the studio system, because in the 90s, the studio system was still trying to pump out these 1980s action films that just were not working anymore. And so
Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
the quest for a refund. So we're in that now, where it is just Marvel movie after Marvel movie after Marvel movie, and that is
it's gotten obnoxious with all of those.
Yeah. And you can't just go watch the movies in theaters anymore. Now you got to watch the TV show that's on Netflix, or else you're not going to understand what's going on. And, you know, you got to sign up for their Marvel email list where they force feed you like little bits of information that if you don't have those text messages, you're not going to understand the next movie. And they have just sucked the life out of everything. And now there's like a vacuum, and independent film is what is going to fill that vacuum.
Well, the big thing also is, I mean, there's so many reviews, and I mean, most of the time, my son will know what a movie's about without even seeing it, because he'll see it on TikTok. They'll be talking about it. They know how it's reviewed. They have a number score for everything, and there's no discovery of films anymore. And the only place that you can do it now is independent film, where you don't know anything about it, but hey, you had someone who said, hey, well, in foreign film, you can hear it from somebody else and say, hey, you need to go watch RRR, or you know, those type of things. But with indie film, that's where you get the true, like, wait, what am I stepping into? And you might just have the best time of your life. It might be the worst time of your life.
Right.
Who knows? But you know what? You're having a time of your life.
Right.
And you are not getting this with the cookie cutter stuff. So it's great that it's being supported, and I love being here. I have no aspirations to go to Netflix. We'll just say it that way. Because, you know, how much power do those people actually have? And how much of themselves are they actually putting into the movies? Like, I'd never be able to do No Daddy Daughter Dance, you know, at Netflix.
Right.
I would be making some AI-generated, like, story. Essentially, an action Hallmark movie is what a lot of those movies are.
Yeah.
So I love being here, but it does take... I mean, imagine if no one went to Reservoir Dogs, you know, in the 90s.
I couldn't imagine a world
Exactly.
without.
And that's where we're
Reservoir
at.
Dogs.
We need people to step up and support indie film like none else. And I think you guys are those supporters. So thank you so much. I mean, especially just being fans of film, you know, and these people who started like we're starting, you know, now. It's just kind of an exciting time. But yeah, thank you so much for supporting us and being a part of it, Tabor. And you, Mick, Mr. I know you acted that one time.
He did some voiceover work.
Yeah, I think I did voiceover.
No, you acted in a short film. We talked about it in the episode we did, but that's okay.
I don't remember it. I might have been sleeping.
It was a movie you made by yourself.
Oh yeah, I'm so scared. I'm so startled.
I'm so scared. That's right. That hasn't come out yet.
Check out I'm So Scared on Netflix.
On my phone.
You have to come to my dad's house to watch it. Hey, that'd be a cool little Patreon exclusive.
Yeah.
We could
see
upload.
some super short films.
I think that definitely is a good offer. I would donate to the Patreon to watch
to
it.
see I'm So Scared. All right.
Nice.
Well, thank you very much, Kody.
right.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
You are awesome. I'm going to go ahead and on the scale, I'm going to give Kody 10 Kody Newtons out of 10 for
How many Kody Newtons
for
is
being
equal
Kody
to?
Newton.
Why did I want to say Rob Schneider? Where did that come
Well,
from?
hey, go with it, Mr. Improv.
Rob Schneider's awesome.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, who was the exact opposite of Rob Schneider. So, how many Kody Newtons equals a Ryan Reynolds? Well, 2.
Yeah.
So 2 Kody
I feel
Newtons.
like I'm
one.
half of a Canadian.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I would give No Daddy Daughter Dance 9 Kody Newtons out of 10.
Out of 10, Ryan Reynolds. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And throw in a half of Ryan Reynolds in there.
Good.
Yeah.
That means a lot, guys. Thank
Yeah.
you. Rate me on IMDb.
Yeah.
Get those numbers up.
Get on Letterboxd and start.
I don't even want to talk about the scoring system with you anymore.
All right. Well,
Thanks for listening to My Dad's Movie Podcast. We had a lot of fun creating it, and we hope you enjoyed it.
for more content, please check us out at Facebook and YouTube at My Dad's Movie Podcast, or visit our website, mydadsmoviepodcast.com.
And always, if you'd like to help support us, please check out our Patreon at My Dad's Movie Podcast.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Anything else to add, Dad?
I'm good.
All
I'm
right,
good.
cool.
It's time to feed the cats.
Yeah, all right.
I can hear them get them restless.
Yeah. All right, sweet. Let's head on out of here then.
Do it.